Hey guys, this is Mark.
And this is Mel.
And this is
Therapy Unfiltered. Woo!
Yay.
First episode. So, Mark, I feel like we should tell our viewers about us.
Absolutely. I would love to. Would you like to go first?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, I'm Mel, and I'm a doctoral candidate. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I also have a private practice in Hoboken, New Jersey, and I specialize in anxiety, ADHD, and couples therapy. And I have my colleague here, Mark.
Yeah. So I'm a psychotherapist, a licensed clinical social worker, and I have a practice in Midtown where I primarily work with the queer community, not exclusively. And yeah, I focus on helping people recover from trauma, and I'm trained in EMDR.
So me and Mark, backstory, we actually met at Columbia University about 7 years ago. Can you believe that?
I can't. I mean, how did 7 years pass already?
I know.
It just blows my mind.
It's been a long 7 years, but also very fast.
Yeah.
Mark was just telling me when we were off the camera, he's like, I would never imagine doing a podcast with you. And I was like, yeah, me too. I wouldn't have imagined that either.
If you had told me 7 years ago we'd be sitting here, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about?
Columbia School of Social Work. Hey!
Yay, represent.
So we should tell them what our topic's going to be, right?
I think that's a good idea, right? Like, let's not confuse our audience. Okay.
Yeah. So we thought about this topic because a lot of our patients, we hear a lot about this significant topic too, and how, it's so distressing. There's a lot of negative connotation. So drum roll.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot too from patients of mine that, they're really frustrated with the process. It's a lot to juggle between, working, going to the office, maybe you go to the gym, hanging out with friends and family. After all of that, there's not that much juice in the tank.
There isn't. So the topic of today, our first episode, is lovely modern day dating.
Yes. Yeah.
There's just so much to talk about in modern day dating.
Oh my God, truly.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many kind of twists and turns to the experience,
And that dating apps.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Everyone's freaking nightmare. Well, not everyone. I can't put everybody in that box.
A very small percentage, I would say. Yeah.
Hinge should sponsor us because...
Yeah, Hinge, hit us up.
Hit us up because we know that your subscriptions are dwindling down, and we're actually going to tell our viewers today how to navigate modern day dating while using dating apps. Or if even using them.
Right. And maybe there's alternatives.
Right. That's actually, you brought up a really good point right there, because I feel like a lot of my patients come into my office and they're like, I don't even know what to do without a dating app. When did that become a thing, right? That I feel like we forgot how to date without a dating app.
Right. I mean, I think in a way, we've forgotten how to communicate with one another, between just the cell phones and the AirPods. I mean, it's like everyone's kind of floating around in their own little world, and it's very difficult to. If someone's got their AirPods in, it's difficult to know and to gauge, do they want to be approached? Or do they just kind of, I think most people just kind of assume that person just wants to be kind of shuttered to themselves.
Actually, you just brought up a really great point because I was reading an article just yesterday about AirPods and
Really?
how people are just wearing them to wear them. They're not even listening to anything.
Oh, right. I mean,
And it's
I've
like a
done that
fashion
before.
statement.
Yeah.
It's like-
Well, no, I think it is an attempt to shut out,
yeah.
to just say, I'm preoccupied here
Right.
and do not approach me.
Yeah. I wonder if that kind of relates to the increasing fear of rejection, anxiety when talking to new people.
Of course it does, because it's like a feedback loop. The more that you avoid the thing that's causing you anxiety, the higher the anxiety is going to go.
Right. So actually, the other day, I walked into an elevator full of people and everyone is looking down on their phone.
Yeah, no, I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, nobody looks at each other. Well,
Especially in the city.
yes. Everybody, I think the AirPod is a fashion statement in the city. They should have a runway of AirPods. Like, what is it called? Fashion Week for AirPods. Like Apple should sponsor Fashion Week. But I think that's just a cue, right? I hear actually.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. Like I keep my headphones on so everybody knows not to talk to me. It's that comfort that people feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then it feeds into the anxiety of meeting someone even virtually.
Right.
Right? Because if you're shutting people out in the real world, it might feel a little safer behind the screen. But in actuality, I think it just kind of feeds into that anxiety again.
Definitely. I also feel that, research actually shows that 60% of people are meeting online. But you also see more recent research that people are dissatisfied with the dating experience. So more people are meeting online, but it's not like they're happier.
No. And it's just, it seems to be getting worse and worse, right?
Right. And I feel like these dating experiences from the app are very interview-like. Like they go in, it's like the paradox of choice, right? Let me just skim all these questions. Let's see if they check all the boxes. And then that person wants to feel that attraction, but is creating that interview environment.
Right.
Have you ever felt attracted in an interview? I certainly haven't.
Not once.
I've always been super nervous in an interview. Well, not really, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's a really interesting point that you're bringing up, because when you're simply just ticking off boxes on a screen, it's like you're customizing your product, thinking, okay, well, it ticks all my boxes, so I think I'm going to be really happy with this product. But then when you meet the product, when you meet the person, it's like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
I thought everything was aligned.
Right.
And I think, part of that is that some people might fib a little bit in terms of like what they're like or their values.
Oh, absolutely.
Or kind of what they're looking for, in terms of maybe a long-term relationship, they might say on the app, but then you meet them in person and the interaction might feel very different.
Right. And then it becomes this like negative experience. And then you do it over and over and over. And this person is like, well, this is not working. I'm going to shut out all dating because this experience hasn't been working for me. And then they have this negative connotation on people, whatever their sexuality is.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to date people.
Yeah,
People suck.
I've heard many times from patients of just like, oh, men suck. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
I just can't look at another man, you know?
Yeah. I've heard it too.
Yeah. No offense to men out there.
Yeah. I've also heard women too. Like my male patients will say that women, it's the paradox of choice of
I think it's just, there's a generalization that if you've had certain negative experiences with particular people, whether that's gender or some other identity, that you can start to generalize that experience to a whole group of people.
Right.
And just kind of say, well, I'm done with all men or I'm done with all women.
Right. And then think about all that kind of like online dating rejection. And then they're like, well, I feel rejected. And, some people can be very sensitive to rejection and then shut out any type of form of relationship.
Yeah.
And then we become
then we retreat.
Yeah.
We withdraw.
Right.
Which I will say that sometimes it can be a really healthy thing to withdraw, to simply rest and pull back. I think that in our culture, there's so much pressure to get into a relationship that it can feel like you might feel guilt-ridden or something to take a break from the dating apps.
Right. So, I think a reset of like, it depends on however you feel comfortable, but like sometimes a good month is good or two, a couple weeks.
Take a break.
Right. Because if you think about it, even with the reinforcement schedule, right? If we're not getting that reward of like somewhat of attraction or some pleasurable experience, but stop with the interviews, ask about, like, if you find that your experiences are negative, right, take a break. If you find that you just are coming back from a break, I feel like people should, instead of asking, going back to this interview mindset, right? Because I feel like they're trying to find,
the same dating context. Like, I go out and I get a drink with the person at this specific bar on Friday, and it just becomes very monotonous and robotic.
And then you want to
And you
basically
get kind of
brew
out.
this attraction that's very hormonal.
Yeah.
Your brain is not going to take off that
a good point.
those neurochemicals if it's just like this flatline experience.
Yeah, if it's, steeped in alcohol, you're not really going to show the person your full authenticity.
Right.
Right? So, I tend to recommend to patients to do kind of a fun activity with their date. Even if it's just kind of walking through the park, there's something about the movement of walking and not having to look directly at the person eye to eye that helps to diffuse the anxiety a little bit. There's less threat there. Yeah,
but still you feel that warmth and comfort of someone right next to you. Yeah. And just the nature of that experience.
Sharing.
Because attraction, down to it, I feel like is learning about the other person in their most like authentic way, like really getting to know someone authentically and not robotic. Esther Peralta, I don't know if
Esther Perel.
Oh, sorry. Esther Perel. She is a researcher, and she talks about how we should just ditch those questions, right? Like, who cares how many siblings you have? I don't.
No, I mean, maybe on date 3 or 4, but not the first date. You just want to get to know the essence of the person a little bit.
If you really are like, okay, I need to ask questions because I'm not so fluid in conversation or I feel like a lack of social skills, ask people about their hobbies. Ask them about who their spirit animal is.
Or just kind of go in and say something like, what's something that you would regret not doing in life?
Right. Oh,
like really go deep.
Mark, that reminds me of the question that you used to, you told me one day, what makes you feel alive? I thought about that for so long. I was like, what makes me feel alive?
Yeah.
I love that question because that teaches you a lot about someone. Like,
Truly, yeah.
Yeah.
Based on their response, you get a lot of data.
right, right.
You know, if they say, oh, I feel alive when I'm eating potato chips on the couch watching Netflix, I mean, that says something about the person.
Right,
no?
right. There's nothing bad about that.
No, there's
But-
not. But I mean, if that's your first response to what makes you feel alive,
You might be tired. Burnout.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. There isn't anything wrong with that necessarily, but I would see it as something that was maybe a surface level
Yeah.
response.
Right, right. And someone who is looking for that emotional connection, imagine trying to connect with that answer. Yeah, so I see where, yeah.
Although I guess if you had two people that felt the same way about what makes them feel alive,
then
they
there
would
you
have
go.
lots to talk about.
Right, because then there's that experience that they're bonding.
There's no right or wrong in this.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that people are just so fixated on, let me get through so many dates to find that perfect person that they actually miss the authenticity of dating.
There's no perfection.
Right.
There's nothing's perfect in life. So you're not going to find that perfect person.
And then instead of using dating apps as like a crutch, it should be kind of like how we use AI, right? We shouldn't use AI to replace us, hot opinion, but
yeah, no,
it should be used as a tool to assist us, like dating apps.
Right. And that it doesn't have to be the one and only form of dating, the only way of going about it. I think that kind of the old school way in which we dated for millennia was very much within community.
Yeah.
And which just kind of makes sense when you think about it, because if you're connecting to people within community, you have overlap of connection, and there's a lot of safety with that. And also in terms of values, there likely will be a lot of alignment.
And when I look about like stuff about attraction, a lot of it talks about like just the mere exposure effect. Like if I'm going to go to a community, right? And stop thinking every time you go somewhere that you go one time somewhere that this hot guy or this hot woman or maybe this hot non-binary person is going to be there and you're going to connect with them. It's not this instant gratification. You got to put yourself in different communities and
just kind of over time,
right?
Can kind of unfold in a way.
Do you hear that often? Like, oh, I went to the coffee shop, but I didn't see anybody. And then they stop.
Oh my God, yeah, all the time. They're like, Mark,
where's this instant gratification?
I don't know.
It's like match. I go to the coffee shop, match.
I blame consumerism, honestly. I really do, because we're all expecting this instantaneous result. You go on Amazon, you click one button, and it shows up on your doorstep the next day.
Click to buy.
Yeah. And relationships just don't work that way. There needs to be multiple interactions for there to be a level of safety. You need to actually get into a room with someone and exchange molecules with them.
Vulnerability,
like,
guys.
Need to be in the flesh.
Yeah.
To really gauge as to what the connection is like.
Right. It's okay to be a little risky in communication, right?
Yeah.
Talk about,
it's so hard though, right?
Right.
Like, it's like when you think about it, just when you're talking to your friends and you're like, oh, there was this really hot guy on the subway and he was giving me these eyes and we were like smiling. But like in the moment, it's really hard to kind of actually follow through and like walk over to that person and say hello.
It is extremely difficult. So much that I know I just keep talking about research. This is all I do, read. But they did a study, and it was like astonishing to me. They had women have to look at men. It was a heterosexual study, 29 times in 10 minutes. Subtle cues for the male to know to approach.
Yeah.
Have you looked at someone 29 times? Mark, I'm going to look at you 29 times. That's a lot, right? Think about how someone could give up so easily, right? After the third time.
But, I think it's very human to seek safety.
Yeah.
To not just jump off a cliff.
You're right.
It's
scary to jump off the cliff.
And that's why I think it's so important that we try to first understand what our core values are.
That's so important.
Yeah, to sort of guide us, to sort of highlight the path forward in how we could start meeting people that are more like-minded in person.
Wow. You just hit a spot, because doing couples work, right? It's the values need to align. Mm-hmm. That is the long-standing relationships. The mix match of values is essentially what causes these patterns that they fall into.
Yeah, it's a significant factor, I would say.
And then
a mismatch of values leads to a lot of conflict and confusion.
Like change.
Yeah, and like you're constantly trying to pull that person into, your box, and the other person's pulling you, and there's just an exhausting power struggle there.
Exhausting, right. And I always feel like when I do couples work, someone's always like, you need to change. This value is better than the other. So when you go on these dates, right, think about, I think maybe people outside of dating need to do more value work, like figure out what their values are and go on to these dates and like have experiences first, right, that really start that emotional bond. But then when you're getting to know this person and you're attracted to them, really start to create these experiences so you can get to know this person's values.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll be a good roadmap for you in kind of, what do I want in a partner?
Right.
What kind of relationship do I want to be a part of?
It's interesting because I find that a lot of people have this checklist, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I want someone who's physically fit. Mm-hmm. I want someone who's educated, who makes this amount of money. And I'm like, okay, that sounds really great. But what about your values, right? Because that works for phase 1 and phase 2 for dating, right? Getting to know someone. You're attracted to them. Yeah. But really, when you get bonded and you're trying to create a long-term partnership.
The common interests, the common goals in life.
Right.
Sharing a life together,
if you want to live in the city and you then marry someone or you partner with someone who is like stuck on, like wants to live on a farm because they love animals, you shouldn't. Like, it should be something that you think about. Yeah. Definitely. And it's just back to, like, I think that people are so fixated on these interview questions that they're like, I'll get the answer and this will work. But I'm like, these interview questions have nothing to do with someone's values. And it takes time to get to know someone's values too, right?
It does. And I think it takes a lot of introspection to get to know your own values as well. I think that it can be really helpful to reflect on childhood.
Yeah.
Like, what are the roots of your past? Like, what's your foundation of who you are? Because the people that raise you, they shape you. They literally shape, scientifically, they shape your brain.
They do.
Right?
They do.
So going back to the roots can be really helpful. Like, okay, what were your parents' values?
Yeah.
What was important to them? Because that likely has made its way into you. And some of those values you might want to carry forward, and some you might want to shed a little bit.
Right. And all that work might be uncomfortable, but it's worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you won't be going around in circles with someone.
Right. Or you might, maybe you end up in a relationship and you're like, this is not it. I've heard that one too. And it's like, well, I thought this person hit all your checklist.
Right.
But it's really about this introspective value work that helps you know yourself better so you can get to know someone better and be open to a relationship that you might not even know that you think you need or you want or you're attracted.
Yeah.
It always surprises me. It's like I never thought, I remember I was working with this one person and they were like, I never thought I needed this unconditional support. And I am so attracted to that. And she was before she was really going for these males that were quiet. There's nothing wrong with being quiet, but like they weren't emotionally connecting with her. And she's like, I thought this person was my person, but I didn't recognize how much emotional connection was important or that unconditional support than the other things of like connecting about hobbies or another thing was faith about that couple too. So yeah, it was sometimes you'll be surprised on what works for you. And so I think the message there is like being open and being
open to difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes can be helpful.
Right.
Right. Like it's helpful to have alignment, but then it's helpful to be open to something different than you're used to because you might actually like that thing.
Yeah. So Mark, do you have anything else to tell our listeners?
I think that a lot of times we carry burdens with us into dating, whether that's burdens from past relationships, maybe family relationships, and it sort of colors our experience of that person that we're currently with. So I think it's really helpful to understand a lot, like just kind of connect to those parts of yourself that are holding a lot of burdens.
Yeah.
So that you're not inadvertently kind of repeating unhealthy patterns.
Yeah. Face them.
Yeah. That face them.
And don't blame others.
Yeah. So that you're not just kind of repeating the past.
Right.
And that you're learning with each relationship. And it's okay for a relationship to end. It's not a failure. It can actually be a sign of success.
Right.
Because you probably learned a lot in that relationship that you decided to end or it ended for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You can take these lessons with you. I think that a lot of times there's like this kind of fairy tale, Hollywood dream that we all carry with each inside of ourselves.
The perfectionist.
Yeah, that like this has to be the one, and if it doesn't work, I'm a total failure and nobody's going to love me. And it's like, it doesn't have to be so rigid like that. You can allow yourself to start over again.
Fluidity.
Yeah.
And acceptance that not everybody's going to like you too.
And and you're not going to like everyone else.
Right.
And that's okay. And at the end of the day, you have yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I think that so often there's like this kind of, I need the other in order to feel okay with myself.
Yeah. It's that when you open yourself up to dating apps, you have to be open too for rejection. It's so many people, not everybody's going to like you. But that was a really great point, Mark. And I hope that our listeners today can identify maybe instead of blame, right?
Yeah. It's so easy
Right.
to blame.
It's so
the
easy to
other.
be like, oh, that person was awful on that date and I didn't connect with them. Okay, maybe it was true, okay? But like really try to see like what kind of questions were you asking or how was that experience? So I think
Or maybe they were really nervous.
Right.
And part of their defenses came out in that moment with you and it was really off-putting.
Right.
But maybe it didn't really have much to do with you. It was just their way of protecting themselves.
Yeah. And being open that someone can have flaws on dates and not everything's a red flag.
Yeah, I know. We're so quick to label everything.
I think
red flag,
red flag has been weaponized. But I think
it's like
gaslighting. The amount of times I've heard people are like they're gaslighting me
they're just misusing.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think our take-home message is, being open,
flexible,
mindful,
reflective, right?
Create emotional experiences, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. So much fun. We're going to do this. We're going to release a podcast every month. We're going to release one podcast. And
so looking forward to it.
Yeah. So you can follow us on our page. If you are seeking services, Mark practices in New York and I practice in New Jersey. And we are both accepting new clients.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.